We welcome you to another live edition of the Sports Box, brought to you by our sponsor, Showcase Sports in Hamilton. Showcase Sports for the elite athlete. And by our friends over at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and check them out at www.crowdplayapp.com for details. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Hey everybody, welcome to the next edition of Cage My IQ. I'm your host, D-Bake, and joining with me is a buddy of mine, MMA Drunkie, a.k.a. Jay Henry. How's it going, Jay?
How you doing, buddy?
Yep. You probably recognized him before. I had him on the other day. He came on Monday to help us recap the last UFC on Saturday, which was a pretty good card, minus the two no contests. But this week we are previewing UFC Vegas 22, Derek Brunson versus Kevin Holland. How do you feel about this fight card coming up?
Well, I'd like to say that this is going to be the most explosive, most exciting, most jam-packed fight card of the year, but unfortunately it's not. Yeah, we've been, blessed with an embarrassment of riches over these past few weeks, and we've actually gotten very, very spoiled to having these awesome fight cards. And we knew before long we'd have to get to one of those fight cards that was just meh. And I think I think this is the calm before the storm, because we have UFC 260 coming up and then UFC 261. It should be a good card. I'm really excited to see this fight between Derek Brunson and Kevin Holland. There's a lot of animosity and trash talking going into this, and I'm excited to see how it turns out.
Yeah, so am I. And then, of course, Brad Riddell and Gregor Gillespie's no slouch of a matchup either. But this fight card definitely was plagued by injuries. There were two or three fights on here that were canceled. One at the last minute, and then 2 weeks beforehand. So that's basically what killed this. But it's okay to have a late a weak card like this, because then we can kind of see the guys on the fight card that we don't know about, and then maybe discover somebody that is on his way up.
Right.
So even though the card as a whole won't be as strong, it can be like a builder for maybe one or two like prospects, and then also, just like we said, it has a really good main event and then a good co-main event. So at least we have that.
And fight cards like this, they tend to be, on paper, not seem like the best, of matchups. But then all of a sudden you get into the fight card and you're getting knockouts in round one in every single fight. So, you never know what you're going to get. It is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how this one plays out. It does have some good fights on the card, and I'm excited to talk about them.
Yep, and right before we get into the predictions, once again, we are Cage My IQ. Follow us on Twitter with the handle at Cage IQ. Follow us on Facebook at the handle Cage My IQ SB, and follow us on Instagram at the handle Cage My IQ. And then also you can follow us now on Twitch at twitch.tv/Cage My IQ. If that's what you're into, if you like to watch the Twitch channels, follow us on there, subscribe to our channel, and then have people rate our channel so we can start increasing our Twitch usage, because that's an avenue we want to build up along with our Twitter and YouTube and whatnot. But right now we're going to go into the meat and potatoes, as you would say, the UFC on ESPN preview. The first fight we have on here is a heavyweight matchup between Tai Tuivasa versus Harry Hunsucker, where we see Tai Tuivasa, who is 11-3, and he is the minus 330 favorite. And then Harry is 6-3 with the plus 260 underdog tag. How do you feel about this fight?
Well, UFC kind of pulled the rabbit out of the hat on this one. We were originally supposed to get Dontel Mays versus Tai Tuivasa. Dontel Mays couldn't get medically cleared for the fight, so I guess they went scrambling to find, the next best thing. And they found Harry Hunsucker, who I believe is fighting out of Kentucky. I know that you see the record on there; it's 6-3. I actually can't get a straight answer from the UFC because I look on their website and it says that he's an 0-1 fighter. But I did do a little bit of research about him, and he's held championships. Heavyweight championships in some smaller organizations. So there's no doubt that he has the capability to possibly fight in the UFC. He did fight in the Contender Series, and unfortunately came up short there. So he didn't punch his ticket to the UFC. Well, strange things always happen. And, the UFC came a calling, and, he took the fight against Tai Tuivasa. Now he's got his work cut out for him. Now, like you said, Tai Tuivasa, he's got a 10-3 record. He's coming off an impressive win against Stefan Struve that I actually had Struve winning in that fight, but he highly impressed me, and he was able to get Struve out of there with a first round KO. So that was actually a good thing for Tai Tuivasa, considering he did change camps over to AKA for that fight. And I was hoping that maybe he would stay with AKA, so that he would get some better coaching. But unfortunately, it looks like he's moved to another camp. But, he did have that time over at AKA. It doesn't look like he's really got that too tough of a fight in front of him. He was on a 3-fight skid before he was fighting, before he fought Struve. So I'm glad he was able to get that win and keep his job.
Yeah, and for me, I got a Tai Tuivasa. It says he's fighting out of Lions High Central now, that gym. And then we got Harry Hunsucker, who is not affiliated to any gym right now. It doesn't have any affiliation. So finding information for him was kind of hard to go by. But Tai is coming in as a southpaw. He is seen as a striker in most of his fights. The last 5 bouts for Tai has ended up with a 2-3 record. The wins were by a KO and a unanimous decision. The losses were by submission, and a unanimous decision loss, and then also a KO, TKO loss. And then Hunsucker, who, as you said, he competed on the Contender Series Season 4. He lost to Jared Van Deres via first-round TKO. In February, he defeated Corey Moon via first-round TKO at HR MMA 119. There's not very much to go by with this. I just feel maybe Harry could catch him with the unpredictability because he's coming in on short notice. So Tai really doesn't have that much of a chance to game plan for him. So that kind of benefits Harry, even though he's coming in on last second notice. Yeah, because he can just do whatever. Like he knows about Tai, but Tai probably doesn't know about him. But I still feel like Ty's going to come in with the fury, and he's going to come in with the striking because he's the more experienced guy in this matchup. Mm-hmm. And I feel like he's going to win by first round knockout. I think the experience is on his side, and he's a guy that can get a knockout pretty easily. If it was still him and Mays, I still had Tuivasa winning because Mays is the taller guy, but I feel like Tuivasa is the type of guy that can get inside easy. That way, like the height doesn't affect him. But I still, no matter what, I got Tai Tuivasa by first round knockout.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that either. But it is heavyweights, and anything can happen with heavyweights. They could get in, fists start getting slung, and Tuivasa ended up on the ground. But if I had my bet, I mean, Tai Tuivasa, he has a 91% knockout percentage. Yeah. So if I had my money and I'd bet on the shoey. I bet on that you're going to get that shoey. Well, until we have fans, he'll find a way to get a shoey in and put it on Twitter after the fight's over with. But yeah, I can't go against Tai Tuivasa.
Yeah, I'm going with that. There is that 10% chance that this could go to decision. If this goes to decision, I do like Harry Hunsucker because I do feel like Tai Tuivasa tends to tire out. Yeah, and then I think that's Harry's only chance, route to victory is by decision.
And yeah, like in Tai Tuivasa, he actually dropped a good bit of weight, and it looked like he was in much better shape when he came into the fight against Stefan Struve. So hopefully he's still got that mentality, and he's still in that good of shape. Because if he does come in that good of shape, yeah, I think it'd be a quick night for him.
Yep. But to move on to the second fight of the card, we have a welterweight matchup where it's pitted between Sung Kanan against Max Griffin, where we see Sung, who is 16-5 and is the plus 175 underdog, and then Max is 16-8 and is the minus 210 favorite. How do you feel about this fight?
Going into this fight, a lot of people may not know who Song Kanan is. I mean, he is a highly touted Chinese prospect. This is actually his 5th fight in the UFC. He has a 4-1 record, believe it or not. Like I said, he's one of those rising Chinese prospects that Dana White's trying to, try to build that market over there. So he's trying to bring in some of those Chinese fighters. Fun fact, though, to know is Song Kanan actually fought Brad Riddell at welterweight a few years ago, in which he lost by TKO. Now, Max Griffin, he's kind of we were talking before the show. Max Griffin has had 10 fights in the UFC, and right now he's sitting at a 4-6 record. Usually, you don't see too many fighters, with that many fights in the UFC with a losing record, and still have their job. But Max Griffin, he's the veteran in this fight. So I'm excited to see what goes down between these two guys. It should be an exciting fight.
Yeah, I got Sung Kanan, who fights out Tiger Muay Thai, and then you got Max Griffin, who fights out MMA Gold. Max has legit stand-up skills with 8 of his victories coming via KO or TKO. He holds a first-degree black belt in kickboxing. Besides this, he also holds black belts in Bok Fu and Male Noble's fighting system. Though he has not relied a lot on his ground game, there are 2 occasions when he has got submissions on the ground, but he doesn't use it that much, so he's going to look to stand up a little bit more than on the ground. He has a slight reach advantage in this matchup, but his striking, it doesn't fear people. He needs work. Like, it kind of reminds me of the matchup last week with Ryan Spann, where even though Ryan Spann looked good with it, he tends to not look as well with the striking, and he looks for the grappling. So but then you got Song, who has 14 finishes in his career, 8 by knockout and 6 by submission. He is called the assassin for a reason, because he'll catch you from anywhere when you're not looking. And I like that nickname, the assassin.
That is
so
cool.
Yeah, and he's finished people with ease. He's 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He connects on 4.3 strikes per minute and connects on 45% of his strikes that he attempts. So he doesn't hit a majority of his strikes, but he puts enough out there to where if he puts, like it says, 4.3 out, he's going to connect on two shots per minute, strikes per minute, like significantly. So yeah. He's going to be the one standing up, and I feel like Max Griffin in this fight is going to want to get the fight down. And then for me, as much as I want to go with the assassin, he's the sexy pick here. I'm going to go Max Griffin. He's the one that needs to win more. Yeah, I feel like he's going to take him down, get him out of his element, and just pressure him, lay on him. And I will say this: I have him by third round submission. I'm going that way. I just have a feeling, because I feel like Song's going to put too much energy into trying to get back up and then attacking him, where he's going to slip and fall into a trap.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, Song Kanan, I can guarantee you he's not going to be going for any takedowns in this fight. His takedown average in the UFC is 0. So exactly. I can guarantee you he's going to come in and he's going to be trying to take Max Griffin's head off. Now, Max, I know you picked by 3rd round submission. The odds right now do have Max Griffin at minus 210. I think plus 175 on Kanan is good money. I think if you are going to bet on Kanan, you're just going to bet that he's going to win by TK or KO.
Oh yeah, like and I can see that happening. I have a gut feeling for it, just a small gut feeling, and then I got to go with my gut here. But like either
That's
way,
why we make it interesting.
yep, they make it interesting. So now we go to the third fight on the card, which is a bantamweight matchup between Adrian Yanez against Gustavo Lopez, where we have Yanez, who is the 12-3 and minus 220 favorite, and then Gustavo Lopez is 12-5 and the plus 180 underdog. How do you feel about this?
Listen, there's a lot of hype going on there's a lot of hype behind Adrian Yanez right now. This is his second fight in the UFC. His first fight was a spectacular head kick knockout over Victor Rodriguez. Now, these guys, they're bantamweights. Gustavo Lopez is no slouch either. He's got a 12-5 record, and this is his third UFC fight. He is coming off a win against Burchak by submission. I had to do a little bit of research on Gustavo Lopez because I would like to say that I've seen a lot of his fights, but I haven't. But all the hype's behind Adrian Yanez right now. I think, we need to see him fight better competition before we can start making our decisions on whether this guy's going to be the next up-and-coming bantamweight. And I think Gustavo Lopez, based on what I've read about him, I think he's a great opponent for Adrian Yanez to make that case to say that he's a contender.
Yep, I'm in the same boat there, just a little bit. You got Yanez who's fighting out Mateo Fight Club, and then you got Lopez who's fighting out Extreme Couture. We're going to see a little bit of Extreme Couture people on this fight card. Lopez is an orthodox fighter, and he has 3 wins out of the last 5, which have come out via submission. He has a big wrestling background, hence why he's being trained at Extreme Couture. You're going to get all the wrestlers there. He holds a black belt in BJJ. He's going to want to get the fight to the ground, avoiding standing up too long. Those are the Extreme Couture guys. It's just like Team Elevation. They want to get the fight down. They don't want to stand up. Absolutely. Adrian Yanez, spectacularly, he connects on 7.02 strikes per minute, whereas Lopez only does 2.25 strikes per minute. Yanez lands 54% of his strikes, which he throws, and then Lopez lands 40. So both favor Yanez in that favor. Then you got Lopez. He takes 5.0 strikes per minute, and then Yanez takes 60% of the significant strikes are aimed at him, and he defends them. And then Lopez is able to deflect 50. All these numbers with the defense are pretty close, pretty even between the two, where they do pretty good defending. The difference where I see this is before I had the shocker. I had Gustavo Lopez by decision because of the wrestling. But I feel like after thinking about it, with the big difference in striking, I feel like Yanez is going to be too much for Lopez. I feel like he's going to land way too much for him to worry about. That's going to make him want to get the fight to the ground, but because he's taking so much damage, I don't think he's going to be able to. I don't think it's going to be a finish. I feel like it's going to be a 3-round domination by Yanez, where he's just going to. It's going to remind me of a Peter Yan fight where he's going to land a lot, but he's going to be a little bit patient at the same time. I feel like he's going to get over 100 strikes. I don't think he's going to do much damage with them, but he's going to just add up because just like it says, 7 strikes per minute. You do the math there, and that's a lot. Like he could put a clunk around, and it could be the opposite way. Lopez could wind up dominating the fight on the ground, but I just feel like it's going to be Yanez by unanimous decision, 3 rounds to 0.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Yanez is going to be the faster and more precise striker. But while Lopez is probably going to have the edge in grappling, we've seen very, very little from Yanez to think that he's going to take it to the ground. But we know that Gustavo Lopez coming out of Extreme Couture, you know that their plan is to get the man down on the ground. So Lopez may have the edge in the grappling, but I just think Yanez's power and finishing ability is just going to be too difficult to overcome for Lopez.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. And then I just feel like the past month, I feel like it's been like a wrestler against a striker. Like that's what it always is. And then no matter what way you go, you're never gonna like. It's a crapshoot because it depends on the guy that shows up. Like you can have all the knowledge and all the stats in your favor, kind of like last week with Serkinov against Espn. Serkinov averaged 5 takedowns a fight, and then he had the stats on his side, but then he got dominated.
And listen, if Yanez comes into this fight and comes in complacent, he's just going to end up on his back the whole fight. So I think you said 3-round decision. I'm gonna go by 2nd round TKO by Yanez.
Yeah, because he might need to do that. He might need to because I think that he's going to get the first round. He's going to come out strong, and then the second round, maybe he takes it off, maybe he doesn't. Usually that's how a lot of these guys do. They dumb it down a little bit in the second round, see if they can kind of sneak the second round out, and then if they don't, then they go out in the third because they took off the second.
Yeah, and Yanez is going to have to measure his distance well, because we know without a doubt that Lopez, he's going to go for the takedown. So Yanez is going to have to, just be calm, collected, find his strikes, and I think if he does that before too long, I think Lopez will end up on the ground.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm actually this is the fight that I'm looking forward to the most out of the unknown fights is this one because it has actually to me I feel like this is going to be the fight of the night right here.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't bet against that one either.
But moving on to the fourth fight on the card, we have women's strawweight matchup between Cheyenne Buys and Montserrat Reyes Conejo, which we will see 2 females making their debuts in the UFC. We got Buys, who is 5-1 and is the -360 favorite, and then we got Conejo, who is 9-1 and is the +280 underdog. How do you feel about this?
I'm looking at the odds here, and I'm actually quite surprised that it's so high. So I'm gonna do my best to see what I can do to convince you to maybe put money down on Montserrat because she's got a 9-1 record. Cheyenne Buys is coming in with a 5-1 record. She's only had one fight. Well, she's coming off of the Contender Series. Montserrat is a veteran in Invicta. She is coming off a win. She did have a loss prior to her last win, but aside from that, she was on an 8-fight winning streak. The odds on this one kind of have me question a little bit. I think that's good money at +280 for Montserrat against Buys. I'd do it.
Yep. And then first we got we got Buys. And then some of these fighters right here fight 2 different camps, but her main camp is Fortis MMA, and then Reyes, she fights out of King's MMA, but lately she's been fighting out of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. With Buys, she is a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and a black belt in Taekwondo. She has extremely swift striking and is able to defend herself on the ground. She prides herself on defending on the ground. Then you got Reyes. It's no rocket science that fighting out of jiu-jitsu that she's completely dangerous on the ground. She has 3 wins by submission and 2 by KO from her 9 bouts and is a tough challenge to make your debut against. She has great technique in her striking, but just like I said before, she's really dangerous on the ground, and she's one to watch. The way I think this is going to go, I see that Buys is the favorite because the jiu-jitsu and taekwondo, But I just have a feeling that even though she defends the takedown very well, that I have a feeling Conejo's going to come in and upset her with the striking. I think I think Baez is going to put too much effort into defending the takedowns instead of defending the striking. And I think Conejo's going to she's going to come in knowing about the takedown, so she's going to use that and then get an early striking advantage. And I feel like I don't think this is going to be a victory by like knockout submission or anything. I think that it's going to come in by the third round, and I think they're going to be tied 1-1 because the first round Conejo is going to come in and surprise Baez, but then the second round Baez is going to get a little bit of revenge and change things up. But I think Conejo is going to get the ground game going in the third round because of what she does early on. It's going to set things up for her to be able to use the ground game in round 3 to pull out a 29-28 decision victory. It could be a split decision. That's how close I think it's going to be.
Yeah, I think I can agree with you on that one. I mean, and for Cheyenne Baez, the tone's going to be set early in the night for her. Her husband, JP Baez, is fighting on the undercard, and they're only the second married couple to ever fight on the same fight card in a single night. So I think the tone's going to be set by how he does in his first fight. If he comes out with a win, I think she's going to have a little more motivation, to come out and try and get that win. But I like the experience from Montserrat, in Invicta. I just think plus 280 is just too good to pass up on that.
I was just about to say it. I was like, for her to have more experience and to be plus 280, that's a good line. Like the line, it's just trying to tell you that Cheyenne Baez has more of a background standing up.
Yeah.
And then she can defend the takedown. So she's going to be the favorite because of that, because the strength of Conejo is the takedown.
Yeah.
But just like it says, she's not a slouch standing up and striking.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good. But it's not a slouch at all. So she's going to come in. I think she's going to surprise her. She's going to steal the first round. Baez is going to come in with the second round, and then she's going to switch her game plan up to wrestling. And I think that's going to be her tactic all along. She's going to strike first and then transition into the grappling in the third round.
If Baez can't get her striking going, she has phenomenal striking. If she can't get her striking going, it's going to be a long night for her on the mat.
Yep, but to transition to the co-main event of the evening, we got a lightweight matchup where we see Gregor Gillespie taking on Brad Riddell. Gillespie is has a 13-1 record and is the minus 260 favorite, whereas Brad Riddell is 9-1 and is the plus 210 underdog. How do you feel about this?
Listen, Gregor Gillespie's been out for a while. He's been out fishing for the past couple of years. Everybody was asking the question about Gregor Gillespie if he was going to come back, even come back and fight. That knockout that Kevin Lee put on him was one of the best knockouts of 2020, and it was one of those kind of knockouts where you see a fighter experience his first loss and it be by knockout like that, And then I saw him in an interview today, and I don't think he could have explained it any better. He said he was glad that he was knocked out. He's glad that, he wasn't pounded into the mat for 3 rounds. He said it was easier to overcome, a knockout. And he gave all the credit in the world to Kevin Lee. He didn't make any excuses. Gregor Gillespie was even, people were comparing him to Khabib because, he's a multiple-time world champion in wrestling. I think around like 2007 to 2009. And, yeah, that's what this guy does. He wrestles you to death. Now, Brad Riddell, he's coming out of City Kickboxing, the same gym that has Adesanya and Kai Kara-France and Dan Hooker. So he's coming out of a good gym. He has a 9-1 record. He's on a 6-fight win streak. The one thing to note about those 6 fights is they were all by decision. So he hasn't found a way to get the finish, but he's found a way to get to the judges' scorecards and get the win in that 6-fight win streak.
Yep, just like you said, we got Brad Riddell fighting out of City Kickboxing. Gregor Gillespie fights out of Long Island MMA. Gregor's, just like you said, he's coming off his first loss against Kevin Lee. He is averaging 3.58 significant strikes per minute with an accuracy of 49.5. He is averaging 7.02 whopping takedowns with an accuracy with a 50% accuracy on his takedown. So basically, half of his takedowns that he's getting, he's putting out. He has a blue belt in BJJ and a wrestling background, like you said before. He went from being a pure wrestler to a fairly balanced fighter. He started out just with the takedown, but he has slowly added to his repertoire each fight that he's got. So now, just like I said, he's a more balanced guy, so you can't just rely on defending a takedown against him, because he can strike with you, he can go to the ground with you, he can clinch with you. He can do all three. The thing with him is going to be how rusty he's going to be being off a year. That's going to be the thing with him to keep an eye on. With Brad Riddell, he last fought in September and picked up a nice victory. He's averaging 4.36 strikes per minute with an accuracy of 50.1. He's averaging one takedown with a 37.5% accuracy with the takedowns. He has gone the distance in all three of his UFC fights, as you mentioned. He's a striker at heart and wants it to stay on his feet, but he has been rather successful with takedown attempts and improved his ability on the ground. So he's a guy that's improving as well in the other areas that he needs to improve on, because he wants to stand up. I feel like Brad Riddell can sneak out the first round. I feel like he's going to do that. He's going to stand up because of the rustiness of Gillespie. Gillespie's probably going to want to go with the takedowns, but I think Riddell early on is going to be able to stop it. I think he's going to take round one, but then I feel like it's going to take that round for Gillespie to get going, and then he's going to dominate the next two. And it's going to be a mixture of clinching and striking. And I feel like he's going to win by third round submission. Yeah, I said that, third round submission.
So I think that's a good bet. One thing that people listen. Gregor Gillespie averages 7 takedowns per fight, so I'm pretty sure we know what the guy's going to do. He's been up until his loss against Kevin Lee, he has been utterly dominant. Like, people were honestly calling him, another version of Khabib, because that's how good he is on the ground. If you look at his last few wins, by submission, by TKO, by submission, by KO. His first fight was a decision. So his last 4 fights, he's finished the fight. Not only he's not just wrestling these guys to death, but he's finding ways to knock them out. He's finding ways to submit them. That's what we like to see. People like to say that watching wrestlers is boring. Well, when you have a wrestler who can wrestle you to death, but can also get you out by submission or TKO, that's the kind of wrestler I want to watch.
Yeah, he's not going to just get you down and then lay on you. He's going to get you down, try and move guards between side guard and then front guard. He's going to try and move between them, find the holes in your defense, and he's going to try and submit you. He's not just content with laying on you like Team Elevation does. He's going to try and finish it, because he's going to. That's his game. That's what these type of guys do. They're not content with just laying on you and getting the boring victory. They want to improve themselves, test themselves, and then go the extra mile. Because they know later on, when they get these harder fights, the harder top 5 fights, it's going to make a difference in you moving up, because you have that experience of moving into side guard and baiting the guy into getting on his back, so you can get him with the rear naked choke, where you have to bait him in certain ways. And whereas the guys that are laid down, they're not going to be used to that because they're used to just laying on you. And then I just feel like Gillespie is going to be a sleeper now that he's back.
Oh.
He's going to be sleeper in that lightweight division that is stacked. I think he's going to come in. He's going to offer some great matchups with these guys in the top 7, I would say, with all these fights are being booked. He's going to be able to, because he's in that, I think, what is he? I think he's 11 or 12.
Yeah, I think he's let's take a look here. Gillespie is actually he's only number 15.
Oh, so
That's surprising.
He dropped. But with the win here, he can move right on up because of some inactivity. So
yeah.
which is good for him. I think he's going to do this. I feel like he's not going to put up much on him because Brad Riddell is going to be focused on taking him down all the time. And I feel like he's going to try and get back into a second matchup maybe in like a month or two. That way, like, you get 2 fights in 2 months, you're back. You're back to a little bit of your former self because that first fight back is always the hardest because you don't know how you're going to feel. There's a difference between training and fighting. Like a whole difference, but I feel like he'll be able to get this, and I think he's going to get it by 2-1 unanimous decision.
And I think this is a perfect matchup for Gregor Gillespie coming back. I mean, I know we haven't really said much about it, but ring rust. We don't know how it's going to affect him. Now, when I look at Brad Riddell, I know we've been all talking about Gregor Gillespie. I mean, Brad Riddell, he's on a 6-fight winning streak. He knows how to win. He's going to have the size advantage on Gregor Gillespie, like huge. I mean, Gregor Gillespie is not the biggest lightweight, so which makes it even more impressive to see what he's done against some of these bigger guys. But Gillespie's been out for a year and a half. I mean, I hope he hasn't been out just been sitting by the river just fishing, then decided, I'm going to come back and fight again. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Riddell is the perfect matchup for Gillespie. To get take that next step in coming back after that knockout loss, and it should be a good matchup.
Yep, I definitely agree. But to move to the main event of the evening for this fight card, we got a middleweight matchup which pits Kevin Holland against Derek Brunson. Kevin Holland is 21-5 and is the -150 favorite. And then Derek Brunson is 21-7 and is the +175 underdog. I can't believe both these guys have fought that many fights, especially since Kevin Holland is only in his 20s. What do you think about this?
Kevin Holland, his nickname is the Trailblazer. Some people have these nicknames that just don't make absolutely any sense. Kevin Holland has the perfect nickname for himself. In 2020, he was a Trailblazer. He was up for 2020 Fighter of the Year. I know some publications actually named him 2020 Fighter of the Year. He's well deserving of it. He had some impressive wins in that 5-fight win streak against, Joaquin Buckley and against Darren Stewart, but none more impressive than his last fight against Jacare Souza. Not only did he have one of the best years in 2020, he had one of the best knockouts of the year. I've never seen a knockout like that. He was basically off his back and knocked Jacare Souza out. And everybody knows what kind of chin Jacare Souza had. If you've seen some of his brawls, like with Chris Weidman, this guy's got a chin. So I can only imagine how hard Kevin Holland hits to be able to knock Jacare Souza out at that angle. But he's fighting Derek Brunson. Now, when Derek Brunson, he's on a 3-fight win streak. When he lost to Adesanya, that fight between him and Adesanya, I think Adesanya got into his head a little bit mentally. But in his 3 fights since then, he has looked ever impressive, especially in his last fight against Edmund Shabazian. Edmund Shabazian was supposed to be, the next future middleweight champion, youngest middleweight champion. Derek Brunson came in and cleaned house with that kid. You know, he looked absolutely phenomenal. I think Derek Brunson looks amazing right now. And if people are writing Derek Brunson off right now, I'm going to call you crazy, because Derek Brunson is a veteran. And I love the bad blood between these two guys. A little animosity is never too bad going into a main event fight like this. The card may not be as great as we want it to be, but this main event is fireworks.
Yeah, but the thing that I think about it is he did wipe the floor with Edmund, but Kevin Holland and Edmund are two different guys with two different styles, and I feel like the one key with Kevin Holland is shit talking. That's one thing that's going to be a difference in this fight. Edmund's just a serious guy that was going in that fight and was going to fight. Kevin Holland's going to go in the fight and he's going to go into shit talk at the same time. He's going to do a little bit of both. He's going to get into the skin of Derek Brunson. Brunson's going to go. He's going to go in with the game plan. I feel like he's going to go in the strike, and then with the shit talking, he's going to be like, pardon me, but he's going to go and forget this guy, and then try and take him down, because he's going to have no patience with him, and then Kevin Holland's just going to have his way with him. He's like we see here, Brunson averages more than 3 takedowns every 15 minutes. Holland's takedown defense is at 52, but he isn't used to absorbing crazy amount of strikes where he puts strikes in. Yeah, Holland has the advantage with the 2-inch height and then a 4-inch edge in reach. He connects on a whopping 60% of his strikes. 60. That's big time. He's going to put out a lot of volume on Brunson. And then even when he gets taken down, I think he might be taken down 1 or 2 times by Brunson, but he's still going to put out volume with his striking. He's not just going to lay there. He's going to lay there. He's going to hit him both sides. Like that. He's one of those guys that's going to do it no matter what. But here's what I feel about this fight. Kevin Holland, first round knockout right away. It's not saying anything bad about Derek Brunson, but Derek Brunson is prone to being knocked out. He's prone to it. He's going to come in. He's going to try and strike, but man, Kevin Holland, when he hits you, it's like you're getting hit with a cinder block. Just like you said, Jacare Souza is not known for getting knocked out, and he got knocked the fuck out. It was bad. While he's on his back going like this. He got stunned. And then Kevin Holland, he's not going to have to worry about the technicalness of Souza now. It's just going to be Brunson going for the takedown. He can hit. He can stand up and throw himself, but I feel like Holland will be able to take that. And I feel like he's going to get inside Brunson to make him want to take him down. And he's going to bait him into that. And he's just going to knock him out. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and if Kevin Holland wins this, it's going to set him up for a top matchup to maybe possibly get him to a middleweight title shot. Kevin Holland, he's going to come out trash talking. I think he's going to be in Derek Brunson's head, but Derek Brunson, he's a veteran. Derek Brunson has 100% takedown defense. So I don't think Kevin Holland's going to be trying to take down Derek Brunson. Derek Brunson's, best efforts is going to be to get Kevin Holland down on the ground. Now, just because we've seen Kevin Holland knock out Jacare Souza, on the ground doesn't mean he's going to knock Derek Brunson out down on the ground. Derek Brunson is a very smart wrestler. One thing that I've noticed about him over his last 3 fights is he's starting to become patient. He's been very, very patient in picking his shots, using his punches to mask his takedowns, and it's going to be it's going to be an outstanding fight. It's definitely well deserved, of a main event. The upside being that if Derek Brunson wins, he may be on a path to face Adesanya again. if Kevin Holland wins, we're just going to go nuts. Everybody going to go. I mean, everybody wants Kevin Holland to win right now. Fans love Kevin Holland. He's just got that type of personality that people gravitate towards. So this is going to be a fantastic matchup. I mean, I'm not going to make a prediction on this. Okay, no. No, I can't make a prediction on this one. I'm sorry. I didn't see what were the odds on this.
The odds were, let me bring it up, because Holland is minus 150 and then Brunson's plus 175.
Yeah, that's it's pretty close to a coin flip. That does sound about right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not going to make a bet on this one. I just want to see this fight. I just want to see these two guys go at it, and I want to see who comes out as the next contender in the middleweight division.
Yep, it's definitely going to be a coin flip for the first minute before Holland knocks him out.
Absolutely.
I just feel like he has too much. I think he has too much more potential and more to his game than Brunson. Like Brunson could, he can hit you, but I feel like he's limited right now. And then he has the takedown, but he relies on that too much. And in this fight, just like you said, he's been being more patient, but he's not going to be able to be patient in this fight. Holland's not going to let him be patient.
Bring the pressure.
It's going to bring the pressure, bring the volume, and he's just going to let it all flow. And then he's going to let his shit talking flow too.
Probably the whole fight.
Yep. But that is our preview for the fight card. Anything you want to say before we get going?
Listen, I mean, even though it's not the most spectacular fight card, it's got a great main event. It's got a great co-main event. Like I said, it seems like the worst cards on paper turned out to be the best cards of the year. So this could be one of those instances. We have a blockbuster of a main event between Kevin Holland and Derek Brunson, and I'm excited to see who takes it.
Yep, and then right before we get ready to go, once again, you can follow us on all of our socials. You can look down right there below, and then find us at all three of those handles. And then also, we are affiliated with the Sports Box. So I would ask you guys to go to Sports Box and give any questions or comments you have. Let them know what you think of our show. And then follow the Sports Box on Facebook at Sports Box Show. You can follow them also on Twitter at Sports Box Show, and then on Instagram at The Sports Box Show. And then subscribe on YouTube. Check out all the content there. We have over 20 podcasts on the Sports Box. They're all great. They range from MMA to golf to basketball to football. And then we have just a show where they talk about a little bit of everything. And then they even have a show called Sweet Tea, which is pretty cool, where they just talk about whatever. But it's a great group of guys, and then came into that here, and then it's just a good time to talk and argue sports with them. But definitely go to our YouTube page at Cage My IQ. And subscribe to our page on there. We're going to be we load our stuff onto there. When you watch this video, go to the bottom right and click on the black YouTube box. That's the easiest way to subscribe. You just go right down there and subscribe. Follow us. That way you can see whenever we post new content. Our schedule is every Monday at 8:30, where we always recap the pay-per-view or fight night card, and then on Thursdays we pre-record a preview of the upcoming card, and then I usually let it out at 7 o'clock on Thursdays, but today it'll be a little bit later, which is fine. And then I got some great news that like just earlier today I interviewed with my buddy Jim, interviewed Eric Anders, and then you can look out for Sunday. I got interviews with Sam Alvey and Jordan Young, On Monday, we're waiting to hear back on a big guest that we're supposed to have. And then next Wednesday at 6 o'clock, I'll be interviewing Chris Lieben. That's a big name right there. So I'm looking forward to that. But I am your host, D-Bake. This is my buddy, MMA Junkie, a.k.a. Jay Henry. And we are out.
Thank you for watching this episode of Cage My IQ on the Sports Box. Please remember to follow us on all of our social media outlets. On Facebook at Sportsbox Show, Twitter at Sportsbox Show, Instagram at The Sportsbox Show. Find us on YouTube and join Outside the Box, our Facebook sports discussion group. The Sports Box is brought to you by our sponsor, Showcase Sports in Hamilton. Showcase Sports for the elite athlete. And also our friends over at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and use promo code THEBOX at sign up for 10 free points. Thank you for joining us.